This is Brenda from Artist Fusion. In this video we are making a reverse river table with copper metallic resin. You want to line the base of your form with Tyvek tape because resin will not stick to Tyvek. Use a Kreg pocket hole jig to make screw holes in all four sides of your rail. Also tape the back side with the Tyvek tape. That will be the side that's going to face the inside of your mold. Screw in all four sides of your side rails. I use Alex Plus 20-minute caulk to caulk every seam on the form. So you want to caulk both the inside and the outside of the form and the corners. I apply the first coat of caulk, wait 20 to 30 minutes, and then apply a second coat. And it's generally best to wait a full day before you then use the mold to make sure that the caulk is cured. You will need to brace your slab down so that it does not float in the epoxy. I'm using some scrap pieces of lumber that I had lying around, they are wrapped in tape that the epoxy will not stick to. Then I'm going to use clamps and clamp those pieces of lumber down, which will hold the slab. I'm using Counterculture DIY hard cast resin. It is a two-part deep pour casting resin, which you can pour up to 2 inches deep. I've tinted it to a copper metallic, and I also have a smaller bucket of it that I have green and one with turquoise. I'm trying to add some highlights of rainforest green, which is a metallic, and also a turquoise, but didn't quite go the way I'd planned, which you will see later on in the video. But I do like how it ended up, just didn't end up how I wanted. If you're observant, you will notice that this is my black metallic table that I did a few weeks ago and not the copper table. I realized that I forgot to film taking it out of the mold and the planing process. So I spliced out the black metallic table video and inserted it into this one. You can see that the form sides come off fairly easily and the slab pulls up fairly easily. That's the beauty of using the Tyvek tape. This is my router sled that I made with MDF. You can YouTube how to make a router sled. There are lots of great videos. Make sure you put on your PPE, personal protective equipment. Find the highest point on your slab and set your router bit to just below that depth so that you're just skimming a little bit off the top. Start at the end of one side and work your way down, skimming off a little bit at a time. Reset your router bit and make another pass over your slab. You will have to continue doing this process of resetting and going over the slab again until you get your slab flat. Then you'll flip it over and repeat the same process on the other side. You'll notice I'm back to my copper tabletop. I'm ready to sand this, and the best way to sand is to take a pencil and lightly mark the top so that you know when you're sanding how much you have to sand and that you've hit all your spots. Now to sanding. This process can take a long time. It took me 6 hours of sanding to get this tabletop smooth with no swirl marks on it. And that is sanding both sides and all 4 edges. Take your time and work through all of your grits and make sure you have a microfiber rag to wipe off any dust as well as your sander attached to your shop vac. Now's the time to burn in your logo before you apply your finish coat. It takes a while to heat up your stamp with a propane torch, and I periodically test it on a scrap piece of wood. I think the logo adds a nice touch. My first finish coat is going to be Osmo Wood Wax Finish Clear Extra Thin. I'm using a white Scotch-Brite pad to get some on the surface, and then I'm using my polisher with a white Scotch-Brite pad on the polisher to spread the Osmo around. And you want to keep doing this until it's pretty much absorbed into the wood. Then hit all the edges with a small chunk of Scotch-Brite pad with my hand. Flip the pad over on your polisher and then run over the surface again. This will take off any excess. It's important to flip it over and do the other side as soon as you finish the top side so that the wood does not absorb any moisture overnight. You'll notice again that this is my black table. I just wanted to show you that the next step is to sand with 500 grit and then apply your next coats of Osmo. 2 to 3 coats are going to be with Osmo Poly X oil. This is a high solid coating in satin, and you want to apply it in the same manner in which you used the Osmo Thin. And the same thing between coats. Allow at least an overnight dry between coats and then sand with the 500. With the finish done, it's time to attach the legs, and I'm using threaded inserts and bolts with a hex screw. I'm going to use my Kreg drill bit to pre-mark where I'm going to have to drill my holes. I'm using the Kreg drill bit just to indent my holes enough so that my regular drill bit will have something to sit on to know where my marks are. Now I'm taking my regular drill bit with a collar on it and screwing the holes. The collar is set at the depth of my threaded insert so that I don't make the holes too deep. You want to clean up any dust or pieces of chunks that didn't quite come off with the drill. Make sure everything is clean before you put your inserts in. I'm using a CA glue, which is basically a high-tech crazy glue, to coat the threaded inserts with before I screw them into the holes. This will ensure that they stay where they're supposed to stay and not come out. Make sure you put the glue on right as you're going to put it in the hole. If you put it on too soon, it's going to dry up on you. So do one at a time. These screws use a hex wrench to insert them. You just tighten them like you would a bolt. Once they're all in, they should be flush with the wood. The last step is to put the legs on and screw in your bolts, and then you have yourself a beautiful table. I hope you liked this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'll try to answer them. Also, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see new videos as they are posted.